So they're getting their first wash in here. So I just drop them whole into the sink, let them sit there for about 20 minutes and let all the additional protein crawl out and float to the surface. I don't use any sprays or anything, so we will get bugs in there. Anyway, give them a good soaking, most of the bugs will come out. Okay, let's cut up the cabbage. Unfortunately, my microphone's decided to play up and I'm going to have to do voiceover on this. So we're just going to chop the ends off. Lots of people have got interesting ways of creatively coring cabbage, but I just do it. Ah yes, this is why we're washing it. We could have a look there. You could see a little bug still remaining, but I'm just chopping the ends off. I'll separate them all out, drop them in the sink for a really good wash, which we shall now do. In they go. And what I'm doing there is I'm just breaking it up a little bit so we can get to each of the leaves. Right, let's continue chopping up the cabbage, separating out the leaves, looking for some bugs and dirt. But we'll do this for all three. Get them in the sink, give them a wash. And much as I like my protein, I really don't want the creepy crawly type protein. I'm not that adventurous. Oh, I found an earthworm. This is great. I'm going to put him back in the garden. So I'll pop him back in the compost along with all of the ends and he'll grow well. I like my earthworms, but not to eat. So it's all in the sink, nicely separated out. We're going to give it a good ruffle round. Again, let it sit for a little while. If any bugs are in there, they should come to the top. Notice a couple of baby roaches and things in there, which we really don't want to eat, do we? So we'll make sure it's really clean, get the last of the dirt off, because we don't want dirt in our fermentation, and start chopping it up. Right, let's start getting our other ingredients ready. We need some chilies, because kimchi needs chili. Got a few different varieties here. We also need ginger, and I just went out and picked some of this, peeled it, cleaned it, all ready to go. We're going to julienne it, I think, so leave that aside. There's exactly 70 grams there, by the way. So we'll chop the chilies up fairly coarsely. It's the middle of winter, so there's no fresh chilies, unfortunately. But luckily, I froze some from last season. Now, there's a variety of different chilies here, varying sort of heats. I'll give them a bit of a taste as we go through. Some of them are hot, some of them, like these larger ones, are actually quite mild. But we'll just chop them coarsely. All that shaking, by the way. Rufus just decided he wanted to sniff the camera. Anyway, maybe it's because he's not being filmed and he wanted to join in. Before we jump off to grating the daikon, let's have a look at the ginger, which was freshly picked from the garden. I've julienned it. We're going to weigh it so we know exactly how much we're putting in, and that's precisely 70 grams. 70 grams of nice fresh julienne ginger, which we shall put in as well. So now we can just pop that back in with our diced chilies, and we'll get back to the daikon. Okay, here he is. One daikon, bought from the supermarket, as mine aren't grown already. Okay, so let's chop the ends off, peel him. I wish it was this fast, but it's not. Chop it in half to make it a little bit easier to grate, and off we go. Grate, 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 grate. Well, it's not so great. Make daikon great again. It was a lot of work. But anyway, hello Rufus. He's come in to see what the daikon's like. Alright, so we've got all that nicely shredded. We'll do the other half, off it goes, and then we get to do some more veggies. But we definitely need this daikon, or some form of radish in the kimchi, or it won't taste like kimchi. There we go, nearly finished. All done. Okay, we'll pop that aside, ready to go in. And now we've got to do the garlic. Now we've got some nice purple garlic. Again, I don't have any in my garden yet. It's growing. You might want to have a look at my comparison of seed garlic to supermarket garlic and how it grows. I notice there's quite a big difference between the seed garlic that's designed for growing and the growth inhibitors that they seem to put on supermarket garlic. because the seed garlic's growing nice, strong, green, looking good, whereas the supermarket garlic is looking very small, pale, not very good at all. We'll chop up this entire bulb. There's one bad clove in there, but a nice lot of garlic and kimchi, it's what we need. Alright, we're going to use a shortcut to peel it, chop the ends off, bash it with a knife, and it should just pop out of the skin. So here we go. Let's just chop the end off. Garlic gets a bit sticky. Anyway, chop the end off. Put the flat of the knife on top of the garlic, give it a whack, and then it peels off relatively easily. Some of them easier than others. Some of them shoot across the room as they pop out of the skin. Anyway, not too hard to do. So that's one. Let's do the rest. Okay, we're going to just roughly dice this into fairly chunky pieces of garlic. Let's quickly run through, chop it up. Doesn't need to be too fine. In fact, you don't want it too fine. Want it to ferment with the rest. Right, and then we'll pop it in with the other ingredients. The ginger and chilli. Didn't weigh it, but it's basically one bulb less one clove. Right, now we do the cabbage, and there is a lot of it by the look, but that will shrink down a lot during our salting process and will be surprisingly small. So we're just going to cut it into rough cubes, squares. We don't want it finely shredded like we do with the normal sauerkraut, just judging from what I've seen with the kimchi that I buy. But I also think because this cabbage is a lot lighter than your normal savoys and sugar loaf and other cabbages, I think it needs to be in larger pieces, or we'll just end up with mush. So it's all done. We're going to put it into this really big pot for mixing. Not going to cook it or anything, we're just going to put it in there so we can actually salt it, mix it, and that sort of thing. We also critically need to weigh the cabbage and all the other ingredients. We're going to go for our normal 2% salt by weight, so I'm just checking to see how much is left there. And I think it was about 2.2 kilos. We'll add the rest of the ingredients in, so in goes the ginger and the chilies. There's our daikon all going in. This 10 litre pot, I think, is full, and I've got all the weights there. But anyway, whatever it was, we take the overall weight of all of our ingredients, we work out what 2% of that is, which was in this case I think about 56 grams. I can work it backwards if I wanted to, but I'm not going to. And we sprinkle that salt on top. Let's have a look inside. It's all been mixed up. I've let it sit for about 20 minutes, half an hour, and you can see that it's really shrunk. There's lots of brine forming in the bottom, and I particularly like how colourful it is. So let's get it into our fermenter. This is the old fermenter we used before. It certainly works well. We'll fill it all up. So it's now full. We've got to squash it all down so we get as much of the air out as possible. Don't want little air pockets in there. As you can see, lots of brine, and it's bright and colourful. Don't think it'll stay that way, but we'll put the stones in. The stones are there just to keep everything under the brine. And I'm going to have to pull them out a little bit, as you'll see, because we've still got some floaties. But I had a taste while I was at it. And although it was fresh cabbage, it definitely had a kimchi taste to it, and that chilli's still got to work its way through. I'll try and jam those stones in. As I said, once it sinks down a bit more, put them in a little better and get everything underneath. Then we'll just push down on the stones. A little bit too much brine in there, so I'll drain some out before we put the top on. And here it is after one day. It's got a nice colour to it. Do like the orange chilli in there. It's starting to change structure a little bit. I took the lid off, had a sniff, and it smells like kimchi. Doesn't look like it. But there we go. We'll see how it goes in a few more days.